Hey all, here are OS Reviews. About 3 years ago, we did a review on the Divoom Aura Box, a really unique looking Bluetooth speaker that has a retro vibe through its pixel LED display. You can use it to customize different icons, show you notifications, and draw and doodle on it to create your own artwork. The Aura Box was really successful, and it became a part of Divoom's identity moving forwards. We've seen countless generations from this company now that uses the same pixel artwork to produce different types of speakers, all in this retro vibe. Well, now Divoom has come out with their latest generation called the Ditto, and it claims to be the most feature-packed edition yet. This time around, it's trying to simulate a small computer, or a retro computer that is, with a CRT monitor, and it even has some mechanical buttons on the base, kind of in the style of a retro arcade or a mini arcade machine, along with a slot that you can use to turn the unit on and then navigate around, play some games, as well as interact with it. Now, the Divoom Ditto will be released through Kickstarter initially for about $40 or so, and you can see it here in September in the links down below, and they'll be hitting the retail shelves, including Divoom's own website soon. Here's the back of the box, including the QR code that you can scan to download the companion app on iOS or Android, and there's a 3000 milliamp hour capacity battery. To open this thing up, there's a small dot here that we can press down on, and that allows us to open up the door, granting access to the speaker inside. Accessories include a USB Type-C cable used for charging the built-in battery, and there's also some stickers that are in the same retro pixel art style that you can use to customize the speaker with, along with a quick user manual. The plastic covering up the LEDs underneath is slightly curved and kind of represents the old-fashioned CRT monitors of yesteryear, and on the very top is the grills for the speaker, so that's where the sound comes out of. Now on the back here is actually where the passive radiator sits for added bass, and so you can see there's a slight tilt to the screen just like on a computer monitor. Down below here we have controls, arrow keys, and volume keys, a mode select key, one for adjusting the brightness of the screen, and one that acts for selecting or acting as OK. All of these keys themselves, as you can hear, are real mechanical buttons. Just like on a mechanical keyboard, they're using blue switches underneath, so it feels super tactile. There's the Type-C charging port. Now on the bottom here, we just have soft touch rubber feet that prevents it from sliding around on a surface or a desk. Overall, there's a good heft to the Divoom Ditto, and doesn't feel too cheap at all, even though the body is predominantly made out of plastic. Let's now turn the unit on and take a closer look at its features. So you can see here that this is the boot up. It says Ditto, it gets clicked on, and then turns on. Now one of the things that we'll notice immediately is that the aforementioned mechanical keys are also backlit, so it means that you can even see it in the dark, which is really cool. And we are able to see a clock by default, and the LEDs are also quite energy efficient, allowing this thing to work as a speaker for over 20 hours or so before you need to recharge it again. And if you're just using it to display the time, it can definitely last you through a few days before you need to plug it back in. Now I can tap on the menu key here to cycle through its various features. So I can go left and right from here to navigate its UI. It's basically in a carousel. The first one is for accessing games. The next one over is for drawing using the pixel art. The next one here is for settings. Over here we can change the time, act as an alarm clock. Over here we can go into music playback and going back to games. So if we start with games first, let's tap on OK. And from here we have a few to select from. To get a better indication of what the games are doing, I can tap on OK once again to have a quick look at a screenshot before it actually starts. So for example, if I want to try out Pong, I can tap on the start here, and that's when it begins. And the speakers, again, are going to be used for all of the sounds that you're listening to, so it gives you a hint of what the quality of the music played back on here will be like. Here's Flappy Bird, and basically you have to use the joystick to navigate through the walls in order to progress further and get more points, just like what you originally had on the phone, but now there's mechanical controls. The next game here is going to be Snake, so we have to use the keys and controls here to move it around and then to try and get these blocks, just like we had on the classic Nokia phones back in the day. Another simple application or game is simply dice. So it just rolls this random dice repeatedly until it stops and gives you a number between 1 and 6. So not really a game per se, but you can use it as a replacement for a real dice. And just like the dice, there's also a magic 8-ball built on here, so it basically tells your luck. So you can ask a question or maybe say a luck that you believe in, and it will tell you kind of a random answer if it's good, if it's bad, or if it tells your fortune, something like that. Let's try some of the other features. For example, going into the drawing mode. And on here, if I tap on Start, you're able to paint some pre-existing images. Of course, this is not connected to the app yet, where you're able to control and draw and doodle, but right now here they give you some templates that you can work with. For example, this elephant. So I can tap on this and it automatically fills in the elephant body as pink. I can then navigate around, maybe to the edges, tap on OK, and it tries to color in the parameter here as black. And I can move down maybe to the edges here. That will color it as white, and I'm successful. I've completed it, and now I want to color in a duck. So I can tap on Start and really do the same thing. Additional tools and utilities that we have access to include things like a stopwatch, for example. So I can tap on OK. There's also a built-in volume meter that basically tests how loud your environment is because it has a built-in microphone. Now, before we jump into the music playback mode, I'll just briefly mention that on the home screen here, which is basically what's shown always by default whenever it times out, you can change it if you don't want to use it as a clock just by tapping on the brightness control key. So if I tap on this, it will cycle through some of the preset options that it has. We have one for kind of quick animations that always move along, so it's cool, and then kind of just cycles back and forth. And tapping on it once again, we have kind of a funny emoji face that you can interact with. Once again, this one here reminds me more of kind of a DOS command line that you may have from a real computer, and it just says Ditto and kind of repeats that. Of course, we can also tap on the volume up and down keys on the main menu to change the volume accordingly, and if I tap on the power key once, it can also tell me the battery amount remaining, as you can see here. Takeaways, overall the audio quality is definitely not shabby. In fact, for a novelty speaker where I think sound quality might not be the #1 focus, I would say the display here probably is the most important selling point. Overall audio quality is still quite good. It gets sufficiently loud for a small speaker. It's not going to be a party speaker. It's not going to fill a super large room or a stadium by any means, but for sharing it with a group of small friends and family members, I think it more than suffices. Definitely gets louder than your smartphone and also packs in more depth as well than the typical phone, computer, or tablet. So you do get a nice amount of volume, a nice amount of bass as well, not earth-shattering, but pleasant, and overall it has pretty clean sound quality. There's very little distortion. Even if you turn the volume down, if you play and pause the track, it doesn't have any problems as far as latency is concerned. Now, really the last thing to talk about would be the companion application, which is the same one that you can use for any of Divoom's other Aura Box or other pixel art inspired devices. So it's universal, and you can find a catalog here of all the different artwork that not only Divoom have made, but the community members and other people that have owned these speakers have published and shared. So you can download any of these and push them over to your speaker. And again, it is always expanding. Down below, we have some additional settings. We can tap on Discover, and that allows us to do things like tap on a voice message we can record and then send over to the speaker. Tapping on games, for example, I can also more easily see what the games correspond to and then launch into it directly. Tapping on Go will start that game over on the speaker, as you can see there. So it's all synced as long as you're connected using Bluetooth. There's also a channel that you can use to switch to different themes. Another one here that shows you different effects, which you can just tap on. This is kind of a heat map, which looks really cool. Under the music tab is where we can take a look at the internet radio stations. So you're able to play back local channels, anything as long as you're connected to the internet. Finally, the middle key here is where you can actually draw and create your own animation, a fixed or static image, or just a text. So for example, if I want to create just a quick doodle design, you have just this blank canvas that shows up. You can change the color, you can say things like hello, and it will just pop along there, as you can see there, in real time. So that's more or less it for our hands-on review of the Divoom Ditto. Again, this idea of a pixel art speaker isn't new. It's been around for about 3 years thanks to Divoom, but this is their latest evolution in the series, and this time around the generation is inspired by actual computers, as you can see here from the portfolio, versus in the past they've done designs inspired by TVs, and the earlier ones which were just really a display, and that was it. So it's getting more and more ornate as far as the hardware is concerned, getting more and more attention to detail, and now adding some games and still giving you access to the same functionality. The sound quality is not bad at all. It's really fun to play around with, and the price is also not too bad either for something that just looks like a collectible, something that's really fun to play with, and a great conversation starter or gift idea to someone who seemingly has it all. Obviously, this is not going to be maybe the audiophile grade speaker if you're wanting something that has, sound quality first, but if you want something really interesting, unique, and kind of geeky to play around with, definitely worth a closer look. You can check out more details if interested in the links down below and their active campaign, but for now, that's been our video. Thanks for watching here at OS Reviews. That's been the Divoom Ditto.